Okay, everybody, I'm here with Florian. He is a graduating foot nerd. He just finished his 12-week foot nerd training. He's one of the only foot nerds to have finished in the actual time frame that he set forth for himself. So I want to give you congratulations about that because that's a big deal. And we're going to talk today. This is what we call a foot nerd training debrief call. It's about 30 minutes, and we are going to ask him about his experience, the first 6 weeks of his experience, the second 6 weeks, which was event training, and then just some overall advice and tips that he would give to anybody else going through this 12-week training that could help them, that maybe they didn't foresee, or that just some gold nuggets from his experience. So congratulations, Florian. We're super proud of you.
Thanks
I have
so
to
much.
say, it's just like to the day almost that you started 12 weeks ago, and everything that you committed to, you for yourself, you set out to do. And so that creates not only consistency for you, but also, you know, it's good for our entire foot nerd community too, to see that example. So thank you for taking care of yourself. Thank you for showing up when you said you were going to show up. Thank you for doing all the training. And we really just are really proud to have you with us. So maybe what we could do is we could just start by you giving just a brief introduction about who you are, like where you live, and why you decided to embark on the foot nerd training program, the 12 weeks, and then we'll just jump into the questions.
Sounds good. Yeah, first of all, thanks so much for you guys for offering this opportunity to giving this education to accessible for people. Yeah, I found I'm Florian. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Germany originally, but I moved 6 years ago to Canada and currently live in Nelson, BC. I moved down here about 2 years ago for work. I'm a welder fabricator by trade. And so that always had me working physically with my body and always in like tight spaces and awkward spaces. So I always had to, or I've been always going to the gym and keeping myself fairly healthy just to stay in balance with all the work I've been doing. And yeah, at some small incidents over the years, I fell on my hip before, I fell on my shoulder snowboarding. So I have compensations and had some knee pain over the years. So yeah, I never really knew how to fix them properly and always kind of just dealt with them. I found some exercises and movements to kind of help me and support me. But never really got fully rid of them. And that got me more into, yeah, kind of my journey to really find what's causing it, especially I have very tight hips, very unflexible in that kind of way. So yeah, I met the TFC community about 4 years ago when Nick and Mike were sharing their first workshops about foot, ankle, knee, and hip health. So I participated in that, mainly online. That gave me already a big insight on just starting to roll out my feet, because wearing steel toe boots all day kind of got me sore feet after a while, just because they're very clunky and stiff. And yeah, so I decided last fall to fully commit to myself, to my health. Been doing a lot, yeah, a lot of work on myself. So I yeah, saw that TFC was offering that 12-week workshop. So I decided to jump on that and just yeah, try to figure out what's working for me and what's not. So yeah, TFC, or in the 12-week workshop, they started talking a lot about what's actually causing like foot dysfunction and hip dysfunction. So that was a big insight for me to actually understand where this is coming from. And it's mainly from like sitting around in chairs, or like having the wrong footwear, being in steel toe boots for 10 hours a day or even longer. Really, yeah, kind of molds your foot into that kind of shape. And yeah, I started to offset that kind of limitation by changing my footwear. For when I'm at home, I wear over 2 years now natural footwear. I go hiking with those, walking with those. Usually don't wear anything at home. And yeah, I started with the 12-week training to change my environment. I don't have a chair in my bedroom. I have a gym ball, what kind of makes me move around all the time. So I kind of switch up my hips with that. I started implementing more sitting on the ground. I have a yoga cushion and a bunch of other pillows to kind of support me, because that was very hard for me in the beginning to sit cross-legged and like different other positions. So that actually helped me to expose my body to those different positions I always struggled with, to have them actually daily implemented into my my life. I usually always read on the ground, switch different positions just beside the bed, so I have a little bit of support as well. And yeah, that really started showing some changes, because yeah, I just stopped sitting so much in the same position for long periods of time, rather in different positions for shorter periods of time. And yeah, that was very, very helpful. That was a big insight. And that actually started showing me some results just by changing that up. And yeah, I created myself in the beginning a routine, a little schedule on how I start my day. I usually start with like 10 minutes of meditation every morning, some breath work. Then I usually started in the first 6 weeks with exercising right away. I created a foot routine, some balance play, and some other movements. And then the training talked about doing experiments. So I started experimenting, writing down the movements I've been doing, and kind of started recording them. I found it very helpful in the beginning too, that you do all the screening from all your mobilities to kind of have a reference to compare yourself towards or along the way. So that was very helpful too, because then you always could really see if you make progress or not, and you don't just guess. And yeah, it was super fun, super interesting to see all those insights from others. The community was great to share on Slack, hear other people's ideas and problems they had, and kind of discuss certain things when you had questions. I found that very helpful. Definitely felt a lot of resistance at first to kind of share those things, like because I thought it wasn't very
To share?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you say that you felt the resistance to share things? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, kind of, I don't know, or just to ask the question.
Yeah.
But
So that's not uncommon. That seems like that is a very common resistance.
exactly. But yeah, the few times I started sharing, got good feedback, got good asked good questions, and got good answers. So that actually helped to get rid of that resistance and actually just go ahead and ask. And often it showed me that a lot of people struggle with the same things.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a good insight as well. And
yeah. So just to recap, I don't even think I said this, but if you're listening to this, what Florian did was he went through 6 weeks. He dedicated 1 hour a day to restoring his foot health, and that required him. We ask people to utilize proof of work education. So what he's talking about is the idea that he records notes every day. He participated in live calls where we would share. He would share how things are going, get feedback, ask questions. And so this was our way. We heard from other footners throughout time that this structure and proof of work accountability is really helpful to keep us focused on what it is that we're trying to do. And then he also took screens. So we consider ourselves to be citizen scientists, and the only way that we can really gather valuable information is by screening in the beginning and screening in the middle, and then screening again at the very end, so that you have some actual data to compare. And most of us didn't really have that. We would just try to be retrospectively describing our experience, and we wouldn't have made the type of improvements that we could make if we had actually collected the data. So he videotaped, or he recorded himself in a balance screen, in a squat assessment, and other types of screens as well, and then compared his data that over the the 6 weeks and then the entire 12 weeks. So that's what he's talking about in collecting notes and then comparing the first week to the 6th week to the 12th week. So, so Flo, in the 6 weeks, like, did you have any specific real humongous improvements, or is it all very subtle? Because I found that when I went through the first 12 weeks, there were definite tangible improvements, but pretty subtle. And it just requires like some small habits over a long period of time, right? The long-term mindset in order to really see big improvements over time. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so I bought a big yoga mat a couple months before that, and it's a little thicker, so the longer I stand on it, it actually keeps the footprint. And I shared a little insight about that too, where I really noticed on how my foot posture was, and I noticed in the beginning, pretty much when I woke up early in the morning, how my posture was usually was more hunched over and didn't really straighten up. And then I started rolling out my feet, start the calf reset, and actually started focus on standing more upright. I've really focused on being in my hips, locking in my hips, squeezing my glutes, and really started noticing how my foot shape changed and how I left a different footprint after a while on the mat. That was a very interesting insight, and to notice that all the time. And yeah, I really started connecting with my big toe on how I create my arch in my foot. And yeah, that was mainly the one of the probably biggest insights of that. And just by exposing myself to the ground and like sitting more in different positions and opening up my hips, I definitely noticed how I get more comfortable sitting on the ground. I do meditations regularly on the ground. So I kind of noticed how my hips get lower to the ground on my knees, and how I sit more upright, and how that's getting more comfortable. That was kind of the main thing.
Yeah, okay. So what was the biggest challenge for you over the first 6 weeks? Like, was there anything that was it difficult to get into a routine, or did you have any challenges that you really had to overcome besides perhaps the resistance of interacting with your peers?
Yeah, I had some challenges where I was moving around for a bit. I was driving up north because I had to take care of a couple of things. So it was like a week and a half to 2 on the road. I was always staying different places, with friends, and kind of taking care of work up there. So that kind of distracted me a little bit from my focus, and I was very tired from all the driving. But then on the other hand, doing all the exercises after I drove for so long really helped myself to loosen up again and kind of get out of the that's sitting so much in the car. That was very helpful. But yeah, sometimes just showing up for myself and doing the exercises definitely felt hard on some days. On other days it was super easy because I usually always like doing them in the morning first thing. So I have my little morning routine created, what really helped me to just do that kind of work. And but yeah, and then some odd days where I wanted to do just other things, or was busy in the morning, and then kind of in the afternoon when you're like tired and had all those other things done, you don't really feel the motivation to do them. But yeah, I still kind of motivated myself towards doing them, and then always felt very pleased and happy in a way that that I actually showed up for myself and still did them. Because yeah, it's moving my body and loosening up again, so that actually was very,
I understand.
very good.
That resonates with me. Like, just if I do the practice in the morning, it sets the tone for the day. It's harder to get motivated later in the day for me too, but I'm always happy. I feel the exact same way when I do it. I feel better, and I'm pleased that I did it, and it just sets the tone, and it reminds me that you can always begin no matter what, right? Like,
exactly.
You just keep beginning again, because you end up feeling better afterwards. And I forget that sometimes I feel like, oh, I didn't do it in the morning, like the day's shot or whatever, but it's really not, even if I do a couple things before I lay down in bed that night, it still feels better than if I didn't do it physically. So let's go on to the second half of your training, which was when you started to think about what type of event you are going to offer to your community. So that's the second part of what Foot Nerd training is that we take the experience that we've gained and garnered, and then we share that with the people around us, whether it's family members in a formal family member type of event sharing, or something for your community. Maybe you could just summarize what your experience was like and how that ended up for you. And congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, for the second week in the footnote files, there's 2 workshops from Nick and Mike and some other examples. So I watched their workshop, their 2-hour workshop. That was a good good reference to just see how they did it, how their flow were, kind of the things they talked about. And then, yeah, I kind of just started thinking about what I would like to offer, what I thought was most valuable for myself. And yeah, just kind of started creating a list and kind of wrote down some of the information I learned from week 1 to 6. Started creating a rough list with ideas and kind of reference points, and then I believe one of the files is also a rough template for how a workshop could look like. And yeah, I just kind of started playing around, just started recording some ideas and kind of just talk about them, and then kind of listen to on how they work. I did a little practice workshop with 2 friends of mine where I kind of just went to their place and pretty much involved them and pretty much did it for them. I got some good feedback from them. They really enjoyed that. I was pretty good on my time as well, and I felt pretty confident as soon as I kind of started talking about all the things I learned, and mainly compared to my own experience, the things I noticed in myself, and then just pretty much let them do all the experiments and kind of movements too, and kind of make them have their own experience in a way too. So that usually always helped them a lot to really connect to themselves and connect to how it actually works. And yeah, I found it hard a little bit, just the education and teaching part, because I felt not very creative on like, okay, how do I build my structure, and what is my flow really going to be? And but yeah, I'm having just that practice with friends or someone else, where you kind of just share the things and then just have a rough structure on what you want to do helped a lot to really finalize that kind of idea. And then yeah, through the weekly sharing with other foot nerds, there were a couple guys who did their workshops before me, and they shared their insights and their kind of reels about their workshops. So that was very helpful to have some information with there. I had some conversations with them too on like what they used for advertisement, what their ideas was. And one of the other foot nerds pretty much offered an online workshop I participated in. That was very helpful to just get some insights from others. And yeah, I think that's mainly it.
Yeah. So would you do it again?
Yeah, definitely. I have actually 2 more workshops planned for February 11th and February 23rd.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think how many people did you have in your workshop? You conducted your workshop at a dance studio, right? Which is very creative. So maybe you can just tell a little bit about your event location and how many people, and did you charge for your event? Did you ask for some, like, did you exchange cookies? Like what was the exchange for your time and energy and your experience?
Yeah, I started doing dance lessons here in Nelson. So I got into the dance community with that. Asked for my first workshop mainly friends I knew here in town to kind of have a more safer environment for me, I guess. And I had 10 people registered, but unfortunately a couple canceled last minute. So I had actually 6 people, 7 with me. And yeah, I rented the dance studio. I just asked if they would be available, and they had some times I was able to squeeze in. And I offered some toe spaces and a lacrosse ball, what I was able to purchase through the foot collectives, and I got a little discount through that too. So I kind of had my idea to share the toe spaces and the ball as like a little complimentary for the people to start their own food journey. That was kind of the idea. And I charged $30 for the workshop and $30 for the ball and the toe spacers.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna end this recording, and if you have questions for us, you can contact us anytime. We'll leave links in the description box. Congratulations, Florian.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so Florian's going to give his tips, insights, or advice to any foot nerds who are coming through the program in the next 12 weeks. And so go ahead, Florian, give us the scoop, give us your gold nuggets.
Yeah, I always, at the first 6 weeks, they always ask in the training for setting a intention for your week. So I found that very helpful to really focus on what your goal is in this week going to be. I didn't plan so much ahead of myself. That would be something I can definitely recommend others. So did it towards the end, kind of roughly plan your week, your little experiments and stuff, or even plan like a week where you do the one experiment and then the second week a different one, but try and be consistent with your experiments. Keep doing them. Otherwise, if you have too many going on at once, you don't really too much insight or changes you notice. I found it very helpful to kind of really time it on where you want, at what time you want to do your exercise and movements, so you keep yourself consistent to that. I definitely found it very helpful to learn about the causes, what's causing the issue, because yeah, if you spend 1 hour loosening up your hips, but spend 10-hour days stiffening it every single day, you don't have a lot of progress either. And yeah, trust the process, be patient, and yeah, ask questions. There's never anything wrong by asking questions, and the more questions you ask, the more insight you might get. So I found that very helpful. And yeah, just keep moving and exposing yourself to different positions, because our body adapts to whatever we expose it to, the good and the bad.
That's wonderful. And if you get off track, remember you can just begin again.
Exactly.
Thank you, Florian.
Thanks.